young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there, everybody. Hello across the world. Hello to John. You know who you are, John. Yeah, you emailed me the other day with a very bizarre email. Hopefully my response made sense, but it was bizarre, sir. I don't know why you send emails like that. You are a married man, and, that's what happens. Because today's guest actually offered to sing I Love You, or something along those lines. I can't remember what it was now because I was so shocked, but I will get her to do it live on the show because she loves to sing. That's what she does. And she is a lady who deserves to be on this show, as she is one big collection of dots, and the kind of dots that, although difficult to deal with at the time, turn out to be the true gifts in one's life. As she says, sometimes life lessons are right in your face, waiting to happen to you if you just surrender to the call. But it took me a long time to get into the position where my passion had finally fallen out the sky and smacked me in the face hard. And she found this in the form of yoga, and she then created her dream business that is going from strength to strength, providing what her clients want, her family want, and of course what she wants too. As she says, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. I know what it feels like having to create your wealth, but I also knew that your health and inner strength matter more in this adventure of self-mastery. Being an entrepreneur is all about self-mastery, discipline, awareness, confidence, and worth, etc. You have to believe, then apply the gift to create the magic. Now, in between the Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, she became a yoga instructor, holistic health coach, owned an MMA promotion business in Atlantic City with her husband, and that one was the stress factor, which led her to being the founder of Down Dog Wellness, as she craved a way to create a bridge between work stress and life, enlightening awareness daily. So did she always have the desire to create such a business, or was it in direct result of her 4 years working at New Breed Fighters, dealing with cage fighters and the entertainment industry? And is it the right business, a pleasant experience, or does it still have days when you want to stay in your bed and let someone else deal with everything? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up dots with the one and only Kerry Morgan. Good morning to you, Kerry. How are you?
I am wonderful, David. How are you?
I'm good. When a guest starts flirting with me instantly, even though she's a married woman, and starts singing I love you, I love you, I love you, how can it get any better? It can't, can it?
No, and I think love is definitely something that you should be involved in daily, whether you're saying the word or just sending out that energy.
I want a little bit more than love at the moment. I want adulation. That's what I want. I've done nearly 600 shows. I want more adulation, Kerry. Can I get it on this show?
We'll think about that one, since you're in the UK and I'm in the US. So that's definitely.
You can sort it out for me. You've been in the promotion business. You could be my new manager. You could be blasting me around Atlantic City. So I was interested at that because your life has been one of kind of extremes, really. You was in a very hectic, not hostile, but almost aggressive environment with the cage fighters and the entertainment industry. And now you're doing what you're doing, which we will dwell into. Does it surprise you how it's turned out for you?
Yes, at that point, it did definitely surprise me, because we were at the top of our industry in the area, and dealing with fighters and just being around, the MMA industry and being around all of the, high energy people, and just watching the fights and going through and having like tickets and just selling and just being all like move, go, go, go. And then once I had a panic attack, that definitely changed my perspective on where I needed to be in my life. Just because I knew that the high stress, and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if I'm going through this, what are other people doing? Like, how do they do what they do when they have to go through the demands of people telling them what to do? And, they don't set their own times, and they have kids, and they have all these other things. So my journey now is to try to help mentor for millions of people, and, get out there how important your inner strength needs to be in that foundation, so that you can be higher than your problems.
Oh, I like that. Higher than your problems. Does that just not mean that you look down on loads of problems? Does that mean that you get so high that they disappear? How does that work?
It means that you're so looking for your top, the way you can serve, the way you can help, that when a problem comes, you instantly solve it. You don't dwell on it. You don't sit back and feel sorry for yourself that happened to you, right? You figure out what's the easiest way to fix this problem and move on so that you can get back to your focus and back to the mastery that you're creating in your life.
I think that's great. If you think about it in the sort of analogy of you're in the woods and you're walking around and you get a bit lost. If you could rise above all the trees and have a look around, it'd be quite easy, wouldn't it? But while you're in there, it's difficult. And that is like life. When you're walking around, there's that old phrase, you can't see the wood for the trees. But it's true. And problems come like an unfiltered forest that we're kind of trapped in somehow. And then every now and again, we get a little bit of clearing and we can see what we need to do. And then the woods, like Hansel and Gretel, engulf us. That was an image and a half, wasn't it, Kerry?
I love that analogy. It's totally true. And a lot of people, they get so used to what they're doing in their 24 hours that becomes automated. So they can't even see through their day, all these opportunities that are probably showing up for them to make them feel better, to make them be their best version of their self. They're just like, okay, I have to do this. And they get like that tunnel vision and they're just looking forward, into just, oh, it's time to go to bed. I have to do this all over again.
So do you have to change your situation or change yourself first? Which, in your view, is the right way of transitioning to a better place?
Changing yourself, I've noticed and just learned and just experienced, because I'm very intuitive on picking up people's energy and frequency, is something that really definitely makes the bigger difference, right? Changing your inner mindset, your foundation, your inner worth. Just because when you are completely engulfed in your problems, you just can't see any way out. But when you're changing the way your perspective of things, when you get up and you're feeling like this is going to be a wonderful day, I'm going to be bold, I'm going to be courageous, I'm going to be, enlightening, I'm going to smile every day, then that whole outlook is giving you a foundation to go out and just crush anything that comes in your way, right? Any wall that comes up, you're just running through it. But if you go up and saying, oh my gosh, it's another day, I don't know if I can handle this, and then you're in traffic and then you're losing it, and then, you go through the spiral. By the time you get in the office or where you're going, or if you're an entrepreneur, by the time you get to your meeting, it's just like everything's falling apart. You can't make a clear decision and you can't, accomplish what you really want to put on an energy level, right? So, and I think a lot of people don't realize that it is an energetic place that you need to be in to get to those high achievement goals that everyone wants to be in life.
So when you was in sort of the fighting industry, I'm fascinated by this because it's such a different environment to where you are now. Did you realise that you needed calmness in your life? Did you realise at any time before that panic attack, or did it just come as a complete whammy to you?
It came as a complete whammy, right? Because everything, we were doing them every 6 weeks, and we were just me and my husband. It was a 2-man show. We had family members that worked, but it was mostly learn as you go, right? We made the deals. We had the fighters. My husband dealt with the fighters. I dealt with the promotional side of making sure all the fighters were on time, making sure everyone had the right seats. The VIPs were taken care of, making sure, everyone showed up, and, all those other things went with putting a promotion together, and, dealing with the state of New Jersey and just the athletic control board and them. So when you're in that energy, you step up to that energy, right? So you're stretching your potential. And a lot of people are so used to just, doing their 9 to 5. So it doesn't really always stretch their potential and make them want to challenge themselves. So when I was in that realm and we're moving and we're doing that every 6 weeks and we're creating more and we're getting bigger and bigger, you just grow, right? You just grow into it. It was to the point when, everything was going so smooth. And then we had that moment where I wasn't sure anymore, and I could feel it happening. Is this what I wanted to do? Is this, I started to feel that unraveling. Like, is this like, should I be doing this? Like, start asking those questions. And then I thought that's when it started to feel like I needed to do something else. And then, and then life will give you something to show you when you ask the right question. It's time to move on, right? It's time to get past this space, right?
It's funny how that happens, though, because I was at work, and I've mentioned this a couple of times in the early episodes of Join Up Dots, and I was convinced I'd had a heart attack, and I was doing my job, not thinking about anything, and suddenly I had this pain in my chest that I thought was the end of me. And bizarrely, I didn't stop working. This is the weird thing. I look back on it now and I think, why didn't I just lay on the floor and call the ambulance? But I didn't. I just kind of tried to convince myself it wasn't a heart attack whilst I was still doing my job. Got home, walking up the street, and then another one hit me, and I thought, this is it. And it turned out to be stress. Now, I had no idea I was stressed, and I would have said I was the calmest person ever. But through that, I'm so aware when I'm getting het up now. And although I don't look like it, and I might be calm, it's the old swan with its legs going like a lunatic under the water, isn't it? It looks calm, but actually there's a lot going on. Do you see that as a good thing in your life now, that you had that panic attack? Are you more aware of your own physical prowess and whether you are pushing yourself too far?
Yes, I am totally aware. I am so in sync with my what's going on with my body. And I found that I needed to go through all these stages to just rebuild, that inner strength that I needed and find that awareness, because actually you have a challenge, a 5-day challenge that deals with that, because a lot of people don't understand what happens with stress is it just sits in your bones, it sits in your muscles, and you don't even know it's there, right? So I'll give you an example that I've heard. When you're holding a glass of water, and it's halfway full, okay, that water is fine. There's nothing, it doesn't really hurt you. You feel okay with that. But when you continually hold that water out with your arms extended for like hours and hours, and then you get to like 7 hours, it is weighing on you, right? You want to just drop it. But that's how stress sets into your body. It's slowly there. And if you don't ever let it go, it just creeps. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper until it just puts havoc on your system. And a lot of people don't think they're stressed. Like I didn't feel stressed because I was just in that motion and I was going and I was just dealing with whatever came up in that situation of high-paced energy, being in the entertainment business. And, you have all different problems. Some fighters don't even show. I mean, you got some people buying 100 tickets and then there's no fighter and you got to mix everything around. So it was always reacting and solving problems. And I think they get to a point after like 5 years, it was like, boom, right? My body just had enough. I actually was like down to 115 pounds, which I was working out a ton, but I just didn't feel like I was at that level of peace and calmness, and everything needed to be, working for me. So awareness is so key. And I definitely keep that on my top level of priority right now.
I find it hard listening to you to realize that you are now in the yoga business, because you go at it full pelt, don't you? When you're talking, there's no slowing you down. And I was expecting a kind of, hey man, a nice calm lady. How does that work in your business? Are you like this all the time?
I am like this all the time. So I teach power yoga. I don't necessarily teach the like Om part of it, right?
Oh, what's power yoga? I've got no idea. What's power yoga?
You have no idea? Okay, so power yoga, you can do that in a heated version, which some people call it Bikram, because that's just like you do 27 poses. But power yoga is you're doing a flow of movement and you're up and down with each breath. So 1 minute you'll be in a plank, and then you'll be in upward dog, and then you'll be in downward dog, and then you'll be back up on your feet. So with each inhale and exhale, you're completely moving. It's more of an energetic movement of just getting your internal flow going in your body, like your power, your energy. It's like having a cup of espresso. That's what you feel like after class. Like you're completely, like all the stress, all the problems, everything's released from your body. You feel light. You just feel like you have been living your life on purpose every day when you leave a class. So it's more intense, it's more vigorous, and it really transforms your body, and it gets your mind into that laser focus where you're completely on target every second. So yeah. So I didn't go into the really calm part of it. I went into the more intense and, get me to my level I needed to be on an energy base process. So if that sums it up.
Yeah, so you kind of went into the cage fighting version of yoga then, the more aggressive.
You can definitely say that. Yes, you can say that. It's definitely aggressive. It's not for everyone. I tell people you have to be prepared mentally when you're going in. If you thought there's people that can work out all the time and go into yoga and won't even be able to make a class, right? They're exhausted because it's a different level of moving your body, and it's the mind-body connection on a 10x version of a regular yoga class.
I can tell you, Kerry, I have never been in a gym in my life. I've never taken a fitness class. And although yoga sounds brilliant, I've always got this... Well, my problem with yoga, and it might seem a simple one, is I wouldn't want to be at the back staring at people's bums, and I wouldn't want to be at the front sharing my bum with everyone. I'd need to have my own little corner that I'd be quite comfortable doing it. Is that a problem? Do I need to overcome this issue?
Yes, it's definitely an issue that you need to overcome. I would say a lot of people get bent up on other people's opinions, like, oh, what are people thinking while I'm in this position? But it's not about that. It's about you being on your mat and you connecting with that inner voice or that inner gut, and you knowing that your power lies within you, and you just need to turn that switch on. So being in this position or that pose that you're in, and you're sitting in there for about 5 or 10 breaths, and it's intense, and you're thinking, oh, I want to stop, or oh, I want to get out. But you need to start transforming the way you think in that position to say, oh, this is me living up to that higher potential, my highest version of myself, and you settling into that space of uncomfortable and seeing through the other side.
So is it more kind of mental than physical, this then?
Yeah, it's both. It's definitely both. The physical is intense, but it's the mental side of really being in a really tight or hard position and you not letting go and quitting on yourself, right? Because it's just like a sales call. If someone doesn't follow up, you're not going to get that sale. And that's you quitting after one call or one follow up, right? The people that make the 5 calls are the ones that are going to get the sale. And that's that same thing when you're sitting in your mindset and you're like, okay, I want to get out of here. This is not the pose. I can't handle it. Instead of seeing that, just go with your breath and just sit in that pose. It may be uncomfortable, but you're getting through and seeing that you can make it to the other side. So that is where the mental mindset strength comes in.
Well, let's play some words and then delve into this a little bit more. Here's a fighter. It's Rocky.
You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Now, I've never heard that speech and thought of yoga, but there seems to be a connection with what we were talking about.
Yes, it definitely is. And I think a lot of people get the misconcept that yoga is this I'm going to just sit really calm and meditate,
yeah.
Or, I'm going to do this, or I need to be in a pretzel, and that. But it's definitely not. It's about you finding your highest version of yourself, right? And stop thinking small-minded about the situations that you have, and knowing that you can deal with those situations, and you can also, get through life by healing your mental game and reinforcing your inner talk. And it's the same thing. I think MMA definitely helped me, watching the fighters, knowing that 1 minute a fighter was losing and then the next one, the next round he wins, right? So, and that's because they never give up, right? So seeing that concept of knowing you're never going to give up on yourself no matter what, and you have whatever it takes to get through that class, to get through that situation, to build that business, to build that brand, is the same reinforcement. But that starts with a daily, automation of inner voice, and stop listening to other people criticize you or you criticizing yourself, and change that inner self-talk.
I'm going to take it up. You've convinced me now. I'm going to be into power yoga. I'm going to do it on my own in my garden shed so no one can see me. And I'm going to do the upward hamster and the downward duck and whatever they are. Is there one that I should do first of all before I start sort of building up to the real extreme ones?
Yeah, if you're just going to do I would say definitely do the basics so you can know where to plant your feet and alignment. Just because when you're doing the basic type of yoga, it lets you understand where your arms need to be, where your feet need to be, where your body needs to be. Because when you do the power yoga, it's so fast. It's one breath you're down, one breath you're up. So it's that quick, and you're going at a high pace of movement and a lot of balance. So you really should know the foundation first before anyone starts. And I think a lot of people, oh, I'm going to do this because there's a group on for this, and then they get in and they're like never doing it again, right? Because they scared themselves to death. So I know that that's happened, and I feel like that Groupon thing really just hurts people in general, and they're trying to try new things in life because they terrifies them. But yeah, so definitely start at the basics and then go for it, right? Do like 2 basic classes, and I would say go for it. Don't get caught up in all the basics. You want to go in hard after you learn where to place your feet, because then that way you're starting from your power, and you're not like, oh, let me see, I'm going to start here for a couple years, and then when you get there, you're still going to be like, oh, I'm starting all over again, right? So
how did you do this then? How did you go from that to this? How did you go from the cage fighting, and you started to become the founder of Down Dog? Did you stumble into a class and think, that's for me? Did you have a conversation with someone, or was it always something on the back burner?
I have done it. I did yoga a little bit before the fights when my son was a little bit younger. And so what happened was, when we were promoting fights and we were doing all this, we're going through all these transitions, I was thinking to myself, when that incident happened, I was saying, okay, so I need to reevaluate my years. So reevaluate when I felt happy, when I felt like, okay, this is who I am. I can really be authentic with myself. What was I doing? So I was like, oh, I was doing yoga. I felt really good about myself. I had a little bit of doubt about it, but I felt really good. I said, so what if I would just maybe teach it? Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I need to go and do the self-worth, the self-worth, go in and really just figure out, when you're teaching something, it heals you. So when you're helping other people, you are helping yourself too. So I needed to figure out what was going on in that space and see if that was going to help me find myself again, right? So that's what I was looking for. When was I at my happiest? And when I was doing that, I felt good, and it felt like something that I needed to walk into. And I think there was a lot of downloads coming in, like saying, oh, this is, I kept getting like signs, like synchronicities about this is what I should be doing. So I started to listen to that. And so teaching yoga, and now I'm a holistic lifestyle consultant, and I do corporate wellness programs. So I knew when I was doing my yoga and I was learning that my end game was going to be corporate wellness, and I was going to help the people that are sitting all day and build a bigger, game from this after I healed myself and really figured out what was not working inside of me, what made my whole system shut down, when I've always been I've been living holistically for 20 years too. And I was like, so why did that happen to me? I thought that I was really healthy. I thought I had it all, but it was in my head. That was the breakdown, right? That just couldn't handle it. So it was a wake up, and I needed to listen. So that's what I did.
so the lessons and the messages were all around you. You picked up on them. You'd watch a film and you'd think, oh, they're talking to me. You'd listen to a song. How did these messages come to you?
And so I could say that I'm so intuitive now, I realize, and I never realized back before, but if I say something, it usually shows up pretty fast, right? So that's manifesting. And I was like, I wasn't really aware of how quickly it was till now. I look back, I'm like, whoa, that's really, I must have been really in tune. But now that I'm more focused and aware on these thoughts, it really shows up a lot, right? So maybe an email, or you'll see like a friend will send you a quote, or Facebook will pop in a thing that you've just been waiting for to see, maybe it's a pickup, you had a bad day, and you'll get this magnificent like post that comes in. So there's all those opportunities, mostly through email, and I get them on my phone, or just a picture, or maybe I couldn't find a book and I'll happen to move something and that book will show up, or a song will come on the radio that will bring me back to that place that I need to be. So yeah, there are signs. And I think we see signs or hear signs, or they're all around us, but we are so like used to cutting them off, that they don't show their self as much as they used to.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I think you, as you say, you've got to be in the right place for that. And I'm not talking about kind of woo-woo stuff, but I do think that nowadays there's opportunities galore around us. And if we start looking and becoming more aware, then we can certainly see new ways of transitioning to the life we want. It's not easy because, as you say, you've got to connect with yourself before you can connect with these opportunities. So it is a gradual process. But once you get there, they're undeniable, aren't they?
They are definitely undeniable. And I always see, like, you are creating your life. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They're so used to reacting, right? You're reacting to everything that shows up into your life. And that's why people aren't aware, because they're always reacting. If you start to just pull in a little bit of creating, okay, so I'm going to do this to create this. I want to do this to create that. And then that gets that momentum going, and you start to see more opportunities, whether it be a friend tells you something and you're like, yes, let me go try that. Let me go to this event and maybe I'm going to meet this person, right? So it only takes one person to change your life. And we're so used to now being stuck behind the computer that we forget that it's not always about that part of your life. You also have to get out to an event that someone invites you to and you always say no to, but you may meet somebody that may change your life.
I had a feeling today that I would meet a very attractive, flexible lady who would sing to me. And it happened. It was amazing. I just kind of thought it in my head, and 2 seconds later, she was there.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. A lot of people tell me that.
So can you touch your toes? Because I've never come anywhere close to touching my toes. And I've always said that my legs are too long for my body. So I can't physically fold myself in.
That sounds like an excuse, David. I'm not going to take that one
Excuse me,
all.
Kerry. You come on my show and you accuse me of making excuses. This isn't how the guest-host relationship works.
I know, but I don't take excuses very lightly. So, and I definitely can touch my toes. Let me tell you something. In my proportion on my body, my legs are longer than my torso. So I always thought, like, can I really touch my toes? But I could touch my toes, and I could actually put a block behind my toes and bend over when I'm on the ground and go behind that block. So I have got really super flexible, but that's good because I don't hold on to stress like other people, because it just kind of rolls off me at this point. So
I have got the world's longest legs, Kerry. And I've got very short arms. Long legs and very short arms. I don't know what that says about me.
We're going to make that a goal for you to touch your toes, okay?
I've never been able to do it. In all my life, I've always gone slightly below my knees, and that's about it. I've never come anywhere close to my feet, and I think it's life's way of saying that feet aren't nice and they shouldn't be touched. They should stay in socks and shoes.
That's hysterical. But you have that beautiful garden. I think you definitely should take your shoes off and your socks and just, let your feet touch the grass a little bit.
Would it excite you to know that at the moment I've got no socks and shoes on? It's very hot here in the United Kingdom, and I'm actually recording in just a pair of shorts. Nothing else, Kerry.
That works for you. I'm super excited for you.
It's not working for you at all, is it? You don't care, do you? You don't care.
I'm trying to picture it, but then I'm like, okay, I can kind of picture it right now in my head, and I'm absolutely okay. I'm not one for judgment. I'm definitely.
We're
not
on
one
Skype. We can flick to webcam instantly. We can do that. No, I wouldn't do that. It's just before dinner time here, so I don't want you to be thinking of food and me. Some people combine the two. I don't know how that works. So when you're building your job, how do you transition from that, I want to do this, to get a client? How do you get people to actually want to come to you? Because that's a big stumbling block, isn't it? That all businesses, no matter how good they are, you need the right marketing so that people find you and they appeal to your message. How did you do that?
Yes. So I do that by, obviously, you go to events and you reach out and you meet people in that sense, and you always plant a seed, right? And definitely in any type of wellness industry, you always have to remember that seed has to grow. You have to keep watering it. You have to let them know who you are. You have to be like in their space, right? So that they're always aware of you. And then make sure that it's the perfect timing. It may be like 4 tries or 3 tries, but that they're ready, right? Because it's always about the person being ready. Maybe they saw a friend and something happened to the friend, and now they decided, oh, I want this for me, or I want this for my business. I want this for my, employees. It is going to get to a point where all employees are going to have, or companies have some type of wellness program because, they're getting hit with so many numbers. But I had to test a lot of things, and I found the best way is to let your clients come to you. Start attracting the people that you want. Start attracting your ideal clients. So I like to do my daily mindset work where I write out exactly what type of client I want. I work for the top corporations in America. I, work with elite entrepreneurs. So I am, definitely doing the mindset work, and I am positioning myself online to attract the right people, right? So I'll get like inboxes now from, BPs of like companies that want to do things because of the way that I position myself. So, it's always a process, and you just have to remember that. But if you always think of you attracting the right clients to you, then that is what will show up, because that's the energy that you're putting out there. And that's how you're presenting yourself as being the top person in your industry or an influencer in your industry.
So you never went through that stage that most entrepreneurs do, where you'll grab tramps off the street. I need a client. It doesn't matter who they are. I will work with you, until you start working with them and you realize, oh my God, these people are energy vampires. They're sucking my strength. Did you go through that phase at all?
I didn't really go through that phase that much, but you're right. There are energy vampires, and you do get that like almost desperate aspiration of having a client. But I make sure that they go through like a questionnaire. And if they, by me reading that, I can refer them to somebody else. So if you refer somebody to somebody else that that's in your industry that may be a better fit, then what you're doing is sharing the wealth, sharing the networking, and then that will come back to you, right? So you shouldn't feel like that you have to grasp on to any type of person. And I think that has a lot to do with people don't know who their ideal client is, right? They haven't mapped out who they want. They don't know the top 5 people they want to get in contact with and, map that out in their head. They're just like whoever shows up, right? But if you're like, I need these 5 clients, I want these type of 5, people that work or have this type of background. And then you go from there. What you're doing is you're building up to get to those people. And that they have high standards. So that's putting you at that high standard instead of you just waiting for someone to show up and grabbing them. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. So basically what you're doing, you're starting the roadmap to where you want to go. So we're not saying it's woo-woo. We're not saying that you're standing there or you're bent over or whatever your position you're in, saying, I want this company to just come to me. But what you're doing, you're writing it down on a bit of paper, and then you're being proactive and working towards how to get that company. Is this right?
Yes, exactly. So if I want a company that I know that's close to me and it has this many employees or that type of things, what type of action steps do I have to take? So every day I would say, so what action do I need to take today to get me closer to landing that company? What type? And then along the way, you're meeting people that may want to be your clients and they have a connection with somebody else. So you always have to remember that you have to have an end game or a big vision picture so that usually the people will show up that needs to, because you're talking to the right people and you're not talking to the wrong people. And then that gets you closer, right, to that actual goal or that actual company or that client that you have in your head that you want to work with.
And so are you always on the lookout for new clients, or is it the recurring clients that are the best ones to have?
I do look for new clients. You're always open because you always need to grow. And, I want to be mentoring for like millions of people. So that's in my head at all times. And the clients that come back, yes, of course, because I think that this is an everyday process and people need to be aware that a holistic health is about the way you think around food and the first thought when you're hungry, what are you grabbing? And a lot of people, no one taught us about food or money growing up. So those we go resort back to what our parents were taught, what they ingrained into us, like, as every day we ate dinner and those type of things. And this is a daily process. And people are like, I'm not getting results, because in a month, you're not going to get results from something that it's taking you 7 years to do to your body. You have to have at least a year of full engagement every day, just like you would watch a show or a TV program. It's ingraining. You're seeing that stuff every day. That's the same concept you have to deal with mindset and just, dealing with food or dealing with wealth. It's a daily process, and it has to be consistent, just like you're brushing your teeth, that same type of consistency.
So once again, everything ties up to being proactive, isn't it? It all comes down to being intentional and proactive, whether it's losing weight, whether it's getting more flexible, getting your own client. And this doesn't happen without the individual making the decision to do it. That's the message of this show, isn't it, Kerry?
It's definitely a message. You have to take action, and you have to make sure that you're confident when you're taking that action, that you know what you're saying when you're going in there, or you're speaking to somebody, because people can feel you being insecure, right? So when you talk to somebody and they're kind of hesitant, they don't know what to say, and you're asking the questions, so you need to go in and know already that that deal's getting made, or I'm landing that company. And that gives you a little bit of inner, strength, or a little bit of confidence, and it makes you feel better when you close the deal, but it's always about the initial action, and you have to be doing those things that actually scare you, like every single day. And a lot of people just can't figure that one out. It's the consistent actions that really get that momentum going in anything in life.
So what scares you every single day? What was scary today?
What was scary today? Let me think about that, because that's a good one, because I still have about 4 hours to go. So I'm still in the process of the middle of my day. But I did get an inbox from a vice president of a company, and thinking about what am I going to say to him, because it was just like a random connection, and he was like, oh, so do you think this is a good connection for me? And so how do I position myself in coming back and answering his question? So I think for some people, they may have ignored that question, or they may not have known what to say. So for me, that's probably what's the scariest thing that may have happened right now. But I mean, after we get off the call, I'm going to be doing 100 other things probably that deal with me positioning myself as an expert. I have a summit coming up. So, I mean, just doing stuff that I have no idea but going out and just putting it together, right? It's like when you throw a puzzle out and it's all these pieces, you don't say, oh my God, I'm never going to finish. You just put the pieces together and know you're going to have a beautiful vision and a beautiful picture when you're done.
So being on the world's biggest podcast with the sexiest UK podcaster, that wasn't scary at all.
I don't know. It definitely was not scary for me. I may have had a little bit of butterfly, just a tad.
That was love. That was love, Kerry. That was that affection that we had right at the beginning, which you then pushed away and become quite hostile towards me. That's how my relationships go with women.
Yeah, you know what? It did turn that way. You're absolutely right. Because when we first talked, I was like, oh, I had that. And I just had to crush it, right? Because you get that butterfly. It's almost like your first date and you're holding hands and you get those butterflies. And then you're like, oh, he's definitely going to be my boyfriend, right? You totally make that decision.
Turn nasty. As soon as you know that you've got him for life, turn nasty. Take control. That's what women do.
Yeah, we definitely have a little bit of we know what we're doing. We definitely know. I don't think the guys always know, but we definitely know.
I've been with my wife for 27 years, and literally 4 times a day, I still say, you all right? And I have no idea. And then 4 days later, she always tells me, well, actually, when you ask me that, and I think, just tell me at the time. 27 years I've been asking that question. I still don't know what you're thinking.
That's so true. That is so true. I've been married 20 years. So yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, you take that out of the equation. We have so much free time in our life, fellas. All we should do is be single, and then you never have to spend all your time going, you okay? You all right? Well, anything I can help you with? Anyway, we are getting off the track here, and let's get back on the track, because these are the words of Steve Jobs, who said these words back in 2005. They became the foundation for so many people's lives and became the theme of this show as well. Here he is, Steve Jobs.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
So does it make all the difference?
Yes. That belief, that faith in yourself definitely makes a difference, because you're going to have people tell you can't do it, you're not worth it, why are you even trying? But when you have that complete, utter belief and you're truly authentic with who you are and you're just living from your heart and that flow, it definitely makes a huge difference.
And when did you get that belief that things were going to go your way?
I got that belief, so when we were doing the fights, I mean, I knew that just everything was just going to work out. And I didn't realize how, a powerful of a position we were in when we were building that company. But yeah, I mean, before that, my husband used to sell chicken. So I always seen the entrepreneur side and always dealt with that. But yeah, I started to really take on that sense of confidence and know that I was meant for so much more, right? Just because when you get into that potential and you see yourself achieving that, and then after starting this on my own, it just reinforces that belief in me to know that no matter what, just keep moving forward and keep taking daily action.
And it's not simple. It's very, very hard. But if you take that action every single day, it leads to something, doesn't it? That's the thing. So many people will do it for a couple of weeks or maybe 3 or 4 months and then stop. I've been doing this show now for 2.5 years. We're coming up to 600 episodes, probably 650 episodes. And honestly, I just feel like I'm getting going. It just feels like I've set the foundations out to what can be achieved. And that is just doing it day after day after day. But people stop, don't they, Kerry?
Yes, they do. And that's what a lot of people, I do holistic health, so they don't actually lose the weight because they stop. But there's something in there that makes them stop, or they don't get, or they quit that job. And you have to realize it's hard, but when you keep doing it, it gets easy. So if you start even just doing, I'll give you an example, 5 push-ups, and you do that for 30 days, it's going to be easy. You're going to want to do more because you build up that mindset and momentum of, oh, this is easy, right? So it's just the same thing. It's when you keep doing something and you keep taking action, whether it's a side hustle or whether it's your full-time entrepreneur, it gets easy because you have been laying that foundation in your mind, has opened up space so that you can say, oh my God, yes, this is easy. And then more opportunities show up because it's giving you time to stretch and have better potential and just move forward. But yeah, and I think people don't get past that 90 days where it starts to get easy. And that's usually it's 90 days where I think people start to realize, oh my gosh, it's easy, right? That they can get past your 90 days. You can complete change habits in that sense.
I bet you in 90 days, I still wouldn't be able to touch my toes.
I bet you could. Are we going to bet on this?
I bet you.
We can definitely
bet you £1 billion English pounds. And now we're having we've been in Brexit and moved out the euro. That's worth about $1.22. That's how bad it is over here. If you're willing to bet that, 90 days later, I will still be like a lamppost.
Okay. Well, you have to actually try. You can't just say, I'm going to bet you and then not do anything.
Kerry, you're turning again. You think I lie and I would just stand there laying on the sofa every day, not trying?
Maybe. So listen, David, you have this thought in your head. So let me see. I think, was it Ford that said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So you've already put in your head that there's no way I'm ever going to touch my toes. So what you planted in your head was the concept of you not ever touching your toes. If you start to say, oh, you know what? I think this is doable. I'm definitely by the end of this 90 days going to touch my toes. I bet you're going to touch your toes, right? So you've said to me 5 times already, I can't touch my toes. My legs are too long. So you already ingrained it.
I don't have a voice like that. I don't have a girly voice. I just have very small arms. I can't scratch my ears either.
I know it's doable.
Somebody put glasses on me when I was 4, and I've never been able to take them off. They're still there now. I probably don't need them. That's the problem I've got. Physically, I'm slightly deformed.
That's a really bad problem.
That's why I hide behind the mic so no one can see me. Well, this is the end of the show, and this is the part that we call a sermon on the mic, when we send you back in time to have a one-on-one with your younger self. And if you could go back in time and speak to the young Kerry, what age would you choose and what advice would you give? Well, let's find out, because I'm going to play the theme, and when it you're up. This is the sermon on the mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the sermon on the mic, the sermon on the mic.
So I am 22 years old, and I would tell myself to make sure that I am always putting myself first. So when I put myself first and I really start to get into my self-mastery and to my self-worth and my confidence, that is going to make me feel so much power and just energy that I wouldn't have, all these things happen to me at a young age, because I would have had a better foundation. So definitely realizing that taking daily action, but also doing the self-awareness, self-assurance, self-discipline work at a young age helps you have that brick by brick foundation, so that no one can blow your house down and you can't be swayed in any direction, and you're always looking forward towards your end goal, and you know that nothing else is going to stop you. So that would be my cue for my youngest self, to take action and just to make sure that I was completely aware of my self-mastery at a young age, and really dive into that wholeheartedly.
Kerry, what's the number one best way that our audience can connect with you?
Well, my online is 21 Century Blueprint is my website. And that is the reason I named it that, is because we need to get out of the 80s and 90s with our mindset and into the 21st century. And that's the only way you're going to be in this game of high performance and high achievers, is learning how to think like the high achievers and the millionaires and the billionaires, is get out of that old mindset and get into the new mindset.
Oh, I thought you were going to go more than there. I was listening to you there. Kerry, thank you.
I can't go more. I just.
Do you know, I believe you could. That's one thing that I don't doubt. I believe that you could deliver more. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. Please come back again when you have more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up the dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Kerry Morgan, thank you so much.
Thank you, David. I had a wonderful time.
Well, would you like her as your yoga teacher? I think I would. I think that's what I need. I was expecting somebody with long hair and beads. She is passion. She is passion from the moment she gets up to the moment she goes to bed. And it's not just that she's found her thing, but she knows that it's delivering value to people. And that's when it really comes together. You can go after the money, but in the end, it feels kind of shallow. If you deliver what the world wants, it fulfills you forever. It really does. Thank you so much for listening to this show. That was episode 567. I'm David Ralph, and I'm going to be David Ralph next time. Cheers. See ya. Bye-bye.
Are you tired of the same routine, the 9 to 5, the mundane? Or perhaps have lost touch with the dreams and passions that led to a life that's a wow, and simply don't know where to start? Then Join Up Dots has the answer. Dream Starter Academy is the #1 group mastermind online today, showing our members how to create their own business, lifestyle, or dream job. Teaching you how to find your thing. Teaching you how to build income around your passions. And giving you a life where you leap out of bed with a instead of a. We surround you 24/7 with the greatest entrepreneurs, business owners, and dreamers online today who are ready to help you get going. They followed the simple steps laid out for them and saw their lives change forever. And you can do the same. So are you ready to change your life, explode your income, and create the dream life that you have always, well, dreamt of? Then join with us today by heading over to joinupdots.com and look for Dream Starter Academy. We look forward to working with you. See you on the inside.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice that every successful entrepreneur practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.